thoughts on the 2019 vintage for Brunello di Montalcino are very positive. I tasted more than 200 examples of Brunello in Montalcino last week. I continue to taste many more today here in Toronto, and the quality of the wines is really as high as they've ever been. Thankfully, to a vintage that was what they call regolare. It was an easy, not too high, not too low, not too soft, not too hard, not too wet, not too dry. Just one of those vintages that was much easier to deal with agriculturally. And then, of course, what follows in the cellar is just letting the wines speak for themselves, so that at the end of the day, these are Sangiovese that speak on behalf of a very specific place within the area that is Montalcino. Yeah, I think that it's important to note that let's say if you look at the last 6-7 years of wines out of Montalcino, these are some of the most accessible wines that we've seen, meaning the fruit is very upfront, the wines are quite beautiful in general up front, and yet they're what I call sneaky structured, which means that they're wines that you can age for a long time. Some of the best will, without a doubt, will age for 30 or 40 years. Now that we're just about at the halfway point of the event, I've given my presentation with an incredible set of slides from the Consorzio del Vino Brunello di Montalcino, and I put in my little touches of pictures, especially that I took last week when I was in Montalcino. But having done that, and now watching 130 people from Toronto, from the trade and media, tasting these wines and seeing how into it they are and how quiet they are, that's something that tells you that they're really enjoying and really paying attention to what they're doing. It can only be qualified as a pretty successful event.
This is a crucial tasting for us every year to see the new vintage of Brunello. Brunello is very popular in our market, and it's a very big piece of our business, so we need to be aware of what's happening vintage to vintage. It's a vintage dependent wine region for sure, and we're very excited about the 2019 vintage, so happy to be here. I think the 2019 vintage, what I'm tasting, it seems to be like a real, the conditions were so perfect that I feel like the winemakers were able to express themselves in any way they wanted. I'm seeing a great variance from wine to wine in terms of character, but I think that's a good thing. Like the diversity within Brunello is amazing, and we're seeing some wines that are super fruit forward, some that are more structure oriented, but overall there's a great diversity in the vintage. Well, I think people are going to be excited. I think people should try as many as they want. They're sure to find something they like. And 2019, fill your cellar. It's going to be a great vintage.
What inspired me to attend this tasting of Brunello di Montalcino, well, it shouldn't be a surprise that this is one of the great denominations of Italy, some of the great wines, Sangiovese based of course, and I've been going to Benvenuto Brunello in Montalcino for about 15 years. Couldn't make it this year, so I had no other option but to attend here in Toronto, and I wouldn't miss the 2019 vintage, which is, by all accounts, one of the great ones. I'm about halfway through the tasting at this stage. What I've found so far is that there's a beautiful balance of ripeness, density, textural elements that really put these wines, I think, into a category. It's been compared to 2016, 2010, other great Brunello vintages. We'll see. Of course, it's a little early to decide, but for me, this is already an extraordinarily promising year. Wines that should be enjoyable into the 2040s. Listen, I would say highlights from today's tasting, or any Benvenuto, or any opportunity to taste Brunello di Montalcino, take it. These are clearly some of Italy's greatest red wines, which makes them some of the world's greatest red wines. And Sangiovese as a variety is so variable. It's been said before by my colleague Michael Goodell. It's like a snowflake. No two are alike, but they all are within this realm of the savory, extremely food-friendly wines. And for me, some of the most exciting wines to taste. What can I say? I'm a fan.